We're going to jump towards our next panel, which is an awesome conversation with these four individuals that I think you're going to gain a lot of value from. We call this our 76 Hard panel for a reason, because these are the people that have gone through, I mean, you might as well call it HELL, to make it through 76 days of everything they need to know and do and succeed. And what's so fascinating when I think about this group, and those of you that completed, by the way, if you completed it, you should have a red tag. That's how you know. Black means challenge accepted. That means somebody just signed up for it. Or you have a red tag in the little sticker box that says challenge completed. So anytime you see someone with that red sticker, make sure you say congratulations. I saw a few at the party last night, because it is not easy. And you're going to hear what these guys go through. And what I want you to think about is whether you go through 76 Hard or not, I want you to hear some of the things that they had to do while they were in the program, so that way you can say, you know what, that 76 days is way too intense for me. Because, by the way, the program should be free, all right? For these folks, it was free. You're going to hear the lift of business that they had from it, and they didn't have to pay a dime. Now, they had to put a little money on the line to hold them accountable, but they got their money back. And so I think regardless of whether you're like, yes, I'm going to go for 76 Hard, I know from each one of these conversations, you're going to get some value from them. So please join me in welcoming to the stage the 76 Hard panel. Come on out, guys. So, Kyle, we're going to start with you. I know that you were licensed in 2014, but you really weren't full-time until 2022. By the way, in case you're wondering, why is Taylor out here? Taylor is behind the scenes administering a lot of the stuff with the plan. So while her and I talk about what is important for agents to do in the 76 days, she's the one that's actually, posting stuff in the Facebook group, getting engagement going, and seeing and paying attention to who's winning with it. So I asked her to help me with this one because she's, of course, behind the scenes working with these guys. So Kyle, you've been licensed since 14, but you've actually been in the business since 2022, or full-time since 2022. So really only like 2-ish years as a full-time agent. And I know also you've been through prospecting boot camp, and of course you completed Sales Rocket as part of the requirements of 76 Hard. So what would you say, Kyle, your number one takeaway was as it relates to what you got from the 76 Hard program?
Definitely the number one takeaway was just the daily accountability. Mm-hmm. Just the reminder that every single day you needed to get out there and lead generate.
Mm-hmm. And so obviously everyone knows that you need to do that. What was different about, why you weren't doing it before and how this program made you do it?
A lot of it was just a lack of structure, waking up every day and seeing all the admin that needed to be done, mm-hmm. and then running around chasing the admin and making lead generation the last priority.
Okay.
So when I had that daily to-do list that I had to do it,
yeah,
it really brought it into focus to get.
That was going to be my next question. What did your day look like prior to 76 Hard?
It was wake up, check email, check text, and run around and try to fix all the problems. And then lead generation was just the last priority.
So just handle things as they happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is, by the way, 90% of most real estate agents, reactive mode, just reacting to things as they come in. So one of the things you said to me on the call when we were talking about your results from 76 Hard was typically around the holidays and shortly after the holidays, you don't usually list and sell a lot of real estate. You haven't had a lot of experience with that. And you mentioned to me that you have more business right now that you can trace back to from during the holidays. Is that because the accountability made you work during a time that maybe you wouldn't have normally worked, or because of the distractions?
It was absolutely the lead generation caused by 76 Hard. Mm-hmm. We closed $10 million in the last 5 months of last year, mm-hmm. and we're closing $4 million next week.
Yeah.
So, and then also we're listing $2.5 million in February. That's already ready to list.
$2.5 million in February. That came from your efforts during the 76 Hard.
All three of those came from the efforts, and one of the closings in January, $1 million of that came from 76 Hard.
Wow, that's big. That's big. And again, you didn't have to pay a dime for the program, did you? Other than the price of hard work.
Absolutely correct.
You did get your money back, right?
I did.
You hesitated for a second.
I was going to invest it, so I didn't get the money I was going to lose in that.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Jeff, I have a question. So
Yeah.
Kyle, one of the things that you mentioned was obviously, the calls that we had you do every single day, and there was accountability that was associated with that. So for someone who's already been a producing agent, if I'm sitting in the room, I'm saying, okay, well, I'm kind of like set in my routine. And that's something that you mentioned too. Okay, you woke up, you checked your emails, you did whatever. So when you look at 76 Hard, obviously one of the reasons why we create the structure we create is because sometimes we have to press the reset button on what we've been doing to remind us of what we should be doing in our daily schedule and so forth. So for someone who's been in the business as long as you have, and kind of having to press that reset button, what can you say about like the experience that it was of the wake up call of, okay, nope, I can't maybe go to my email right away. I have to start dialing, or I have to get that lead gen in. How did you handle that schedule shift?
It was tough because you're so used to wanting your phone and seeing the notifications. Quite frankly, what was said yesterday is really what helped me, is put your phone on do not disturb. And I really like the acknowledgement part at 11:30 or at whatever time works for you, where I'm acknowledging it and I'm going to get back to you, because that was my biggest issue, feeling like my value came from I'm super responsive, and knowing that things aren't going to burn down if you put your phone on do not disturb and send the acknowledgement and take care of it in the afternoon, just to make sure the lead generation is the priority. Looking back in hindsight, obviously I wasted a ton of time not doing it this way. The fact when you mentioned that most of the problems solve themselves by the time you got back at 2 p.m. is absolutely true, because you call them back and they say, we already got taken care of.
Yeah.
And so I spent so much time just taking care of all these things that would have just resolved themselves.
Yeah. I know you're listening and selling in San Antonio, Texas, so sorry for forgetting to mention that. Since 76 Hard is now behind you, I don't know whether you plan on retaking it or not, but now that it's behind you, what are one or two habits that you will never let go of because of doing something for those 76 days?
One of them's being plugged in, whether it's 76 Hard or a different course, is just being plugged into Glover U. Another one is just daily role playing, being able to role play with people like Aaron Ward and Brooke and Andrew Pepper. A lot of those, just being able to role play with mentors was wonderful. So those would probably be the two things.
So a lot of people correlate role play as kind of old-fashioned or not effective or a waste of time. You actually can see how the role play has directly led to your result.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to keep, because that's my takeaway. If you're going to keep something up, it's like no different than the 21 workout challenge thing. I had so many people say, let's go for 22, let's go for 23. If you decide to keep that up, then that's probably because you actually started to see a result from it. And so if the first thing you think of is I'm going to keep the role plays up, then what I'm hearing in that is it actually is what's part of leading to your results.
Correct. It works. The skills work when the questions are asked at clients' houses. The response. It's obviously not going to sound canned like it does when you're starting script role play.
Yep.
And one of the other things I really like about role play is meeting new people, meeting new agents, getting different ideas, because you really don't get on the phone call and go straight to it and not have some kind of conversation when you develop relationships. So you get a lot of mentorship out of it too.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. One of the things we talked about on the phone was you implemented hybrid farming, which is something we've been teaching audiences for years because we have so many people at their first event. It might be their first time hearing of hybrid farming. So how are you utilizing hybrid farming in your business?
So I really stepped up my hybrid farming. I've lived in the same master plan community since 2010. As you had mentioned, I was licensed in 2014. I was active duty military. I had a period where I did it part-time, and then there was a period where because the military, I was not allowed to do real estate just with the mission. So I really stepped up the hybrid farming and started doing more events in the neighborhood. Obviously, a lot of the community members already knew me from living there so long.
Sure.
But we started doing daily things on Facebook. We started doing giveaways. We do food trucks in the neighborhood that come out, and I know a lot of people were talking about food trucks and the cost of food trucks. Some of our stuff is really just showing up, and I give free drinks out and meet neighbors, and I coordinate the food truck, and they pay for their dinner, and they grab it, and they say thanks, and we meet. We do.
Yeah, by the way, there's a lot of value. What I heard in that is you don't have to be the one always taking out your wallet and buying the stuff. Just organize it. Organizing it in itself is a value to them, right? Organizing the food trucks for the neighborhood every third Friday or every Friday or whatever. You can get the credit for that. You can be out there, maybe every now and again you pay for an ice cream or something like that, but you don't actually have to pay for everyone's food. You can just organize it and people will be grateful for that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things we do with organizing it that it doesn't cost me a dime other than the free soda I give out. We do a handful of big events in the neighborhood. We do one where I have a snake expert come out and he brings 15 snakes out and pulls out rattlesnakes for the kids and they love it. And
so that's San Antonio right there.
That was brings out some cool snakes. It's a fun time. That was a huge hit. And surprisingly, I actually had some clients. I said, "Hey, how?" And they said, "We met you at the snake event." So,
yeah, right.
It was really cool getting the feedback that those snakes got me a listing.
Yep.
My mother passed away I took a step back in real estate for a little while in 2023. My mother got brain cancer and passed away after 4 months. So last year I reached out to some folks in the neighborhood and just wanted to make sure any mother in the neighborhood that wasn't going to get one or whether they were or not just got a rose for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So they do a big luncheon in the neighborhood and I pull my wallet out and get 300 roses and they're given to the ladies and we obviously provide some drinks, but we do that. The biggest event we probably do is Pictures with Santa, more than just, and we take it all out where I have a professional photographer come out and it's full mini shoots. So it's not just pull out your iPhone and then they get all the digital copies.
Sure.
We incorporated a Toys for Todd event for that, which really brought just a lot of publicity in the city and being able to give back to the community. And then lastly, just letters to Santa. And then December 23rd, I went around and delivered them all and really wanted it to be a spark of magic. So instead of just going through the mail, I delivered them in the evening of the 23rd. So the kids woke up Christmas morning with a letter to Santa and then a little cocoa bomb we put in there.
Yeah.
Those are some of the bigger events we do.
So by the way, if you haven't figured it out by now, and I know we have breakout sessions and so forth where we cover a lot of this stuff, but hybrid farming in a simple analogy is essentially treating your farm. All right. Traditional farming is just sending postcards every month to neighborhoods. Hybrid farming is essentially treating your farm as if it's your database, right? If you haven't been able to pick up on that when people have talked about hybrid farming, treating an area of homes, I usually say typically one that has high turnover. I look for neighborhoods that are 3 to 5% or more a year. All right, 5 is the sweet spot. Every market has them. I don't care how big or small your market is. You find a neighborhood that has 3 to 5% turnover and you treat them like it's your database, which if you know anything about our database plan, it's adding one thing of value once per month, 12 months in a row. And so you've embraced that to a pretty high level, it sounds like, the hybrid farming.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
What I'm hearing and what Kyle said too is he's always coming from value and contribution, right? In all of the scenarios that you gave, you're giving. And, I hear it all the time. The more you give, the more you get, right? And while you may not see it immediately, you're building the connection, in those relationships. The question that I had for you in regards to 76 Hard, and by the way, I'm going to ask each of you this question. What was the most uncomfortable part that you're glad we asked you to do because it's something that made you step outside of your comfort zone and you grew as a result of it? I didn't prepare you, so that's okay.
I will add, just so you know, so when we do those events, we never ask for their emails. We don't have them sign anything. It is completely just come to the event. So absolutely, it is, in my opinion, really good to just give and don't ask for I need your email address.
Yeah.
The most uncomfortable thing for me, as goofy as it sounds, was probably just writing all the thank you or the notes. I had never done letters and.
Can you tell more about that for those people that haven't taken the program? What's one of the things that we ask you to do? It's probably once a week. We're asking you to do this task.
Just send 5, 10, 15 letters, normally 5 letters or cards to people in your database.
Yeah. So the goal on why we do that, and I know there's a couple of you who have taken 76 Hard. Ashley, you're in the front. I know this is something that we're adding to your business plan consistently now. Sending thank you cards to people who aren't actually like expecting it. And it doesn't, I actually should take that back. It's not a thank you card. It's that sometimes it's just a, hey, I'm thinking of you card.
Yeah.
And we kind of look at it the same way we look at the VIP boxes. Who are people who maybe had recent milestones? Who are people you haven't talked to recently? Who are people who referred you? When's the last time that you showed them an act of appreciation? And I kind of just have realized it because many of you, send us thank you cards all the time. That means something a little different when you're not expecting it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's one of the things that we teach you in 76 Hard is, okay, let's reach out to people and send them something that shows that we're thinking of them, knowing that hopefully now we're top of mind, when something happens for them with real estate. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. Congratulations on making it through the program. Will you be taking it again? Putting you on the spot.
So I actually signed up for your listing mastery class that I'm going to knock out this year.
Okay.
That's what
fair.
I'm going to take.
Yeah,
starting now.
that's fair. That's all right.
There's still time for me to convince you.
All right. Let's hear it for Kyle. Nice job.